So we're going to continue our series on broken, repairing the family. So turn to Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. And I watched the messages from Pastor Jack. I think you know this, but it is unbelievable that we had Dr. Jack Hayford for 3 weeks in a row preaching and sharing on worship. He is like the Apostle Paul of our generation, and God has just used him all over the world in worship and writing and teaching and preaching. So I'm very, very grateful. And I listened to all 3 of the messages, and I thought they were incredible. And also, I know that the video right before I got up was about marriage, and we're in a series on marriage. Let me just remind you that in July is our Thrive Marriage Conference. And if you haven't signed up yet, please sign up. Please register. Whether you're been married a short while or looking to get married or been married like Debbie and me for a long time, we need conferences like this. So sign up, all right? Ephesians chapter 5. Let me just tell you what we're going to talk about. This is a series on the family, but we're going to take 2 messages and talk about marriage. And this week, the title of the message is Happy Wife, Happy Life. Happy wife, happy life, all right? And also, let me greet the NRH campus. I got talking about why I was here and all, but I'm glad to see you guys. Love you. And next week, by the way, I'm going to talk about happy husband, happy home. Amen. All right. So you men just shut up this week and take it, all right? Happy wife, happy life. Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. Now, I don't know if you noticed, guys, but about 3 times in there, it says, men, the way you love your wives is the way I love the church. The example, the pattern that we have for loving our wives is the way Christ loved the church. That's the way we love them. And we need to understand that, and we need to lay our lives down for our wives. Now, I want to tell you something, guys. Please, please, please hear me on this. It is true. Happy wife, happy life. Listen carefully to me. If you want joy and happiness in this world, lay your life down for Jesus. And if you're married, lay your life down for your wife. I promise you, if you live your life selfishly, you will not be happy. But if you lay your life down for someone else, for the Lord and for your spouse, you will also be happy. Now, let me just ask you, and this is for the South Lake and the North Richland Hills campus, how many of you are married? Can I see your hands? Okay, how many of you are not married? All right. How many of you are married but wish you weren't? No. Okay, all right. For those of you who are not married, don't tune me out today. I promise you, you will hear something from the Lord today. And if you're not married, can I ask you this question? Would you just be bold enough to say this? If you're not married, how many of you that aren't married believe, though, that it is God's will for you to be married someday? Can I see your hand? Okay. So you need to hear this. By the way, I can give you a very simple test as to whether you're called to marriage or celibacy. It's a very simple test. Here's what you do. You look at a person of the opposite sex, and then look at a cactus in the desert. And if you notice any differences at all, then you're probably called to marriage, not celibacy. But if they look the same to you, maybe you are called to celibacy, okay? When a person says that he or she has a happy marriage, here's what the person's really saying. My needs are being met. That's really what the person's saying. I'm in a happy marriage. Why? Because my needs are being met. Because God designed men and women with needs that actually their spouses can meet. And so when a person says, I don't have a happy marriage, he or she is actually saying, my needs aren't being met. So the way that I'm going to help you today, guys, is I'm going to give you 3 needs that a woman has that God actually designed you to meet. And many of us didn't know this, but you can meet them. But listen to me very carefully. The only way you can meet these 3 needs is to lay your life down. That's the only way. That is the overarching principle of everything that we're going to talk about, is if you lay your life down, and listen, in these 3 areas you have to. So let me give you the 3 areas, all right? Here's number 1, communication. Men, you have to lay your life down in this area. You have to decide, I'm going to communicate. Let me just help you right now. When you get married, there is a word you can drop from your vocabulary. It is the word fine. How was your day? Fine, because that will not work. Ladies do not want the headlines. They don't want the bottom lines. They want the full story. When Debbie and I got married, I would come home and she would immediately start on me. That's what I thought. Where were you? Where'd you go? Who'd you see? What'd he say? What'd you say? Why'd it take so long? I mean, it was just on and on. And here's what I thought. I thought, this is the nosiest human being on the planet. Because a guy would have said to me, how was your day? Right? And I would have said, fine. That would have been the end of the conversation. That will not work with her. You know, when I talked about the Bibles and about the different translations and all, we talked about an exact equivalency translation, which is a word-for-word translation. And then we talked about a dynamic equivalency translation, which is a thought-for-thought translation. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I know what you're saying is that women like the word-for-word. No, I'm saying they want both. They want word for word and what you were thinking at the time you said it. Listen, guys. Listen. Now, listen to me, guys. Let me say this again. This is an area we have to lay our lives down because this is a need that a woman has. She needs to communicate. And the reason they need to communicate, this is how they connect with us. And I didn't realize this. I get it.